All right, so we're going to start off with graphing here. First thing to do is add a graph component, and that'll give us our coordinate system over here. Everything that we want to put in the graph is going to go inside of this graph component. One thing we might want to do is add a grid to our graph. It makes it a little bit easier to tell the location of points plotted kind of out in these regions. And so we can do that using the grid attribute and get that grid in the background there. So we can start to add things to our graph. We can add a point. So adding a point component, and then we give the coordinates inside of this. So let's say we're adding the point for 6, and we see that plotted here. So something to note is that this will be draggable, so the student can move that around. So that'll be the default there. If we want to make it not draggable so that it will stay there and the student can't move it around, we can say draggable is false there. For now, let's just leave it as movable and allow the student to move things around as they like. That's a point. Now, let's look at adding a line. What are some ways that we can define a line?
Point and a slope.
Yeah, so we can give a slope and a point. So giving a slope of 2, say, and then we can say that it goes through a point. And so, I don't know, -2, -1. And so here we're using two attributes of the line, and that's enough to define the line there. And then we get our line there. What's another way we might want to define a line?
2 points.
2 points. So we can use that same through attribute, except now instead of just giving 1 point, we can give 2 points. So we can say through -2, 3, put a space in between, and say 6, -6. And that also gives us enough information for the line, and so we see it plotted there. Another way you might want to define a line.
Equation.
Yeah, so let's say we've got y equals 3x minus 5. Oh, cursor jumping all over the place. We can also do that, and that'll give us another line there. So this is giving us, 4 different objects. They're not related to each other, but we can also have objects that are using our references that we talked about last time to be connected to each other. So we've got our point 4, 6 up here. Let's give that point a name. So I'm going to call that P so that I can refer to it later. And let's have a line with slope 1 going through the point P. So how do we make a reference to P?
$P.
Yeah, so $P. And now we see that line was just added there. And we've got a relationship between those two objects. And so that means that once I move my point P here, that line is going to move with it. So the slope is going to still be 1, but it's going to keep adjusting so that it's still going through the point P there. If I move the line, it moves the point with it as well. So it's kind of created this link or relationship between those objects. Um, we've got, a whole bunch of lines here. We might want to make it easier to distinguish between them. So we can do that with style numbers. So can add in style number equals 2 to this line. Style number equals 3 to that one. And style number equals 4, so that each of these is going to have a different style. So we use the style numbers rather than saying like color this one red, so that then if someone is colorblind or wants a different way of being able to distinguish between objects, there's potential to be able to control that by changing what the styles are doing, rather than kind of just specifying colors there. All right, so another thing we can do is say a line segment. So for a line segment, we'll specify endpoints, and we can have maybe 6, 2 and -4, -8. That'll give us a line segment so we can see that, it's got the endpoints there. And of course, if we want to be able to use those endpoints in other ways, we might want to have those be actual points. And so instead of having those defined kind of directly in there, let's make them additional objects in the graph there. Let's name that Q so that I'm not reusing the name P, and R. And then can use our references Q and R there. So we get our points plotted, our line segment through those, and then can move things around so that if we move the endpoints, the line segments will move with them. Any questions at this point?
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
I did the line segment endpoints, and there's a dot on one side but not on the other. The dot disappears. Maybe that's just something quirky. It doesn't really matter, but I have no dot. Like I can still drag it and move it.
So I think there's something for like displaying endpoints or something like that.
Okay. All right. That's
Uh,
fine. I can
that
deal with that.
Are you referencing points?
I was about to ask the
One of
same
them
thing.
is referenced, and that one, the referenced one is the one without the dot.
Oh,
There's a point with yeah, so I'll just share what I did. Yeah, so there's a point P I defined, and the P does not have a dot on it in my
It should be the other way around, where
right.
the P is, you could see it, and then there'll be a small dot on 6, -6. Like,
six
what if you
negative
change your
six.
R, Melissa, to
Six
something?
-6 has a dot, and P does. I think P is. Oh well, I didn't make P draggable, but I'm dragging it, so maybe it doesn't like that. P was meant to be the 0.45. Oh, that's weird. Well, 6 -6 has a dot, and okay, that's what you said should happen. The P does not have a dot.
So the P should have a dot, and then unless you kind of make it appear here, the 6 - 6 shouldn't have a dot by default unless you hover it over it, and then it appears.
Oh, hold on. 6 minus 6. All right. I don't know. If I resave it, why doesn't it go back to 6? I can't get the 6 minus 6 to appear again. It's where I dragged it to. All right, never mind. I can't read coordinates. Yeah. Um, all right. I actually don't know what's. I didn't. Yeah, I've moved them both, so I got confused about which one was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if the coordinates are just kind of written in here, by default, they won't display.
Right. Okay. Got it.
All right, so continuing here, I think let's take some time to try this out. This will be, checking out the documentation to look for the polygon component and then seeing what you can do with that. So I'll give you 5 minutes to start to work on this, and then we'll go through this together. Um, so I put the activity link in the chat, so you can get to this there. And yeah.
It doesn't look like I have access to the source from that link.
Right, I can give you the source shouldn't really matter too much here. I can give you the access to the source.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Um, Here, I'll get that in a separate window now. Oh, I can copy from my editor box here, yeah. So beautiful. All right. Let's go through this. So first of all, how should we make a polygon?
Polygon?
Yeah, polygon. All right. And then what do we do to define the polygon?
Vertices?
Yeah, so we define a polygon by specifying its vertices. If you weren't sure how to kind of get started here, um, one thing to note, last time we used that context sensitive help, and so that's still available here. Was just collapsed, so you can open it up here, and that will still have the link to the reference, and so can go and check out the documentation for a polygon here and see that we can define it with vertices. So maybe let's just steal this one here, save me some typing, and have that for our polygon. Now to fill it up with some color, what should we do?
Set the attribute filled.
Yeah, so we can use the attribute filled, and that'll fill in our polygon there.
Or
How do we?
style number 4 for purple.
So if we want to get fancy here, we can change up the style number and have that be 4, and now we've got a purple polygon. And then what about changing the strength of the shaded color?
Yeah, could not find it.
Fill opacity?
Yeah, so that's a little tricky. The fill
That's cool.
opacity will change kind of how see-through or opaque the shaded color is. So what do you want to choose for this?
0.2.
0.2. All right. So this can be anything from 0 to 1. So 1 will be completely opaque, so you can't see through it at all, and 0 would be it's not there, so what's the point? So there we can see it's a little bit more see-through now. Now, what about taking away the zoom controls? So down in the corner of the graph here, we have these controls to be able to zoom in and zoom out. If we want to prevent that, what can we do?
In the graph level, I put show navigation equals false.
Yeah, so this is something that affects the whole graph, so it's going to be an attribute for the graph component, and the show navigation attribute controls this, and so that'll be set to false. And so now those controls are gone, and don't have that there anymore. Then what if we want to make it so we can't drag the polygon around?
Fix the axes.
So there's a little bit of a distinction here because we can make it so that you can't drag the polygon around like this. And then that's a little bit different from making it so that you can't drag the axes around. You might want to do both, or you might want to do just one of those. So if you want to make it so that you can't drag the axes around, which is probably something that you want to do if you're turning off that navigation, then like you said, that would be fix axes. So now if I try to drag this around here, nothing happens. So that's something that like I've found particularly important if students are using this on their phones, that they'll, be swiping on their phones and then they click into a graph and all of a sudden they've swiped what they're supposed to be looking at off into oblivion. So if you don't want them to be able to, kind of move around and look at different parts of a graph, I would definitely say use the fixed axes to avoid issues there. What about for making it so that we also can't drag the polygon around?
I did fix location
Well, there's draggable
in
equals
the
false.
polygon.
Ah.
Oh.
So there's a kind of subtle difference between having the polygon be fixed versus draggable. So if the polygon is fixed, like it wouldn't be moved by relationships with other things. If it's not draggable, like it could have a relationship with something else that makes it move, but it can't be dragged itself. So we'll use draggable equals false here. So now we can't move the polygon itself around, but potentially if we've got something else going on in this activity where we're moving something else and we want the polygon to move with that, then the polygon could still move. So a little bit of a subtle difference between controlling whether it's draggable or fixed. All right, questions or kind of other thoughts here?
Quick question about making it accessible. It, is there a way to make it accessible?
Yeah, so that's a excellent question. So we should add a short description to the graph. And so this is going to describe the content of the graph for someone who can't see it. You'll do, more with accessibility stuff in the workshop tomorrow. And so we can say, a polygon with four vertices, what information you're including here. Uh, two? What?
Non-convex.
Ignore the 2.
Okay. Um, yeah, so if non-convex is part of the information that you're trying to convey here, so what you write in your description is really going to depend on what information you want the student to get out of the graph.
Thank you.
Mhm. Other questions? Yeah, and that short description isn't, displayed visibly. That'll just be something for screen readers.
Excuse me, is there a way to save my work? I was just writing on your file. Is there a way to save it into my activities?
Um,
I'll just
so
copy and paste the text.
I think copy and paste,
Yeah.
because it's an assignment, it might be kind of saving your work on here in the assignment,
Okay.
but I haven't done much of this like
Okay.
donut editor within Donut, so I'm not sure
Okay.
how this works out.
I just
But
saved
yeah,
it. I mean, I
copy
just
and
copied
paste
and
is
pasted.
safest. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to get a little more practice here. So making a rectangle, filling it with some color, and an undraggable square, and then taking the axes away. So I'll give you 5 minutes to work on that, and then we'll go through it. If you actually, let's say maybe 5 minutes to work on this one and the next one. If you don't get through both of them, that's totally fine. We'll just talk about them together after the 5 minutes. So the, yeah, rectangle and then the circle one. Anurag, can you start a timer? I used to have the timer thing, but now I can't find it anymore.
It's under more and then apps and then timer. And
Yeah, I don't
sorry.
have apps under more anymore.
But 5 minutes, you said?
Yep. Maybe it's while you're screen sharing, you can't do the apps or something. I don't know.
Where is the second exercise with a circle?
So if you just scroll down a little further, right underneath that one. So I can post the assignment link again if you've lost that.
Oh. Oh, okay, I see. I didn't realize I had it. Sorry.
Yep. All right, to quickly check in here, let's if you can show me thumbs up if you finished. Anything else if you want more time.
I could use a little more time.
All right, I am not seeing any thumbs up, so let's go like 3 more minutes.
I saw Spencer's thumb in the upwards orientation.
Were we,
Ah,
s- were we supposed to do the rectangle and the circle?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Then not
That's
quite yet.
just add.
I changed my mind. I
5.
do want more time.
Okay, Anurag did 5 more minutes. That's fine. Oh no, the timer disappeared. Yay.
Question, when you're looking for a radius, should that be on the moving circle? Like drawing in a radius and a center, do I need to that looks kind of hard.
Yeah, so that is tricky. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Just for you and quite on the circle for question 3. Oh, I drew in a radius. It says draw a diameter. So let's say you're drawing a diameter for the circle. This is the one that is variable, passing through 2 points, and then I assumed in number 2 that one of the points is draggable, and then you can get circles through 2 fixed points and a draggable point. And then drawing in the diameter, that looks a bit exciting.
So yeah, the diameter is easier when it's a circle passing through 2 points, and then much, much harder if you've got a circle passing through more than that. Because if
Right.
it's 2 points, then they're on a diameter. Um, and so that's a little bit of a cheat there.
Oh, okay. Make the 2 points be a well, they might not be a diameter of something. But okay. All right.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a moment. Yeah, so starting with the rectangle. So how can we make a rectangle?
Rectangle. I'll take the easy one.
All right. And how did you choose to define your rectangle?
I used a center and gave it a width and a height.
All right, what did you choose for your center?
0, 0, because
All
I'm
right.
not feeling it.
And width
6,
and height?
3.
All right, so that is indeed a rectangle, and so we see that there. So there are a few different ways you can define a rectangle. We can give a center, a width, and a height. We can also give 2 vertices that will give like the 2 opposite corners. So we've got some different options here. How do we fill it with some color?
Filled,
Mhm.
and then style number 6.
All right, we got a nice gray rectangle. Um, so now, what about an undraggable square?
Inside add draggable equal false.
It's got to be a square, though.
Oh, might help if I actually read directions better.
So what's the first thing everyone tried for this?
I just made the width and the height the same thing.
Oh, okay. So you actually used your geometry rather than trying a square. Wait, there is a square? No, there
Ah.
isn't a square. Okay. I thought for a moment it was going to be okay. No, there is not a square, so we need to remember our geometry. A square is a rectangle, and then have width and height be the same. So I'll just make them both 4. And then how do we make it undraggable?
Draggable equal false.
Yep. All right, so now let's suppose we really just want to focus on the geometry here. Um, oh, there's the suggestion width equals height there. I don't think there's, Dwayne, is there a way to make something like that work? I don't think there's an easy way.
I don't know if it will be a circular reference or not, but I mean, you could
Yeah.
name the rectangle dot width, but it might get mad at you.
So let's try getting weird with this and say referencing r dot width.
I'll probably get a big angry red square. Wait, did it work?
It seems to,
Can you make it draggable true?
yeah, see if it,
Here's what it does if you move it.
that works.
Oh,
Wow, that's cool.
I guess it works.
Yeah. Oh, fancy. Oh,
Unless you do that.
something just went weird. All right, we'll pretend that didn't happen.
Ooh, yeah, there's something. Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, huh.
That because that's fun to track out now what's happening
It's
there.
because you moved it to a negative value, and so the width and the height became negative, and it didn't know what to do with it
Oh.
Why would the width be negative?
because my guess is it's probably using the coordinates and it had a negative value inside of it to compute the.
Well, it should be able to handle a negative value, but okay. Anyway, I don't know what's going on.
It's got something weird going on there. All right, so maybe not the greatest choice to do that, but
Can you paste that into the chat?
huh?
Can you paste that rectangle into the chat?
Yeah.
I
That
will
is
now be ignoring
interesting.
you and playing around with this.
All right, so now let's bring back our square here. And can bring that height back to 4. Um, all right, so let's suppose we want to well, so if we wanted to really fix it as a square, one way you could make this work is having a separate number that's name is the side length and have that be 4 and then reference that from both of them, and that should be safe. So then you should be able to adjust it as a square and have things be less weird. But anyways, if we just want to focus on the geometry and ignore the axes, how can we take the axes away?
Display
There's
x-axis.
Yeah, so this is something that's going to be applying to the entire graph, so it'll be an attribute of graph, and we use display x-axis, set that to be false, display y-axis, set that to be false as well. It would be great if there was a way to set them both off simultaneously, Dwayne.
Oh, what? Sorry?
If we could turn off both axes at the same time rather than using two.
Is there no display axes
I
command?
don't think so.
Okay, well, you can put in a request.
Yeah.
Put either a issue or post it in community forums. And we'll add it to our queue.
Mhm. All right. Any questions, thoughts on this?
I'm scared, so I'll ask the question now. That does not replace the current attributes, right? That's just adding a new attribute for displaying both axes or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to tell me how you want the logic to work if you say display axes and display. All right, I have to handle any combination of those 3 attributes. So so I have to figure out how to handle weird people that say display axis equals false and display x-axis equals true. Who wins? But anyway,
Mhm.
Just throw an error.
yeah, well, Donut tries to always like if you do stupid things, ignore half of the things that don't make sense. It's our philosophy, but it makes for weird situations.
All right, so let's look at the circle now. So how can we make a circle?
circle.
Circle! And how do we want to define our circle?
I like skipped ahead to number 2 and made
Okay. All right, so
point
we're
P
going to
and a
be
point Q.
efficient. Oh, I'm spoilers. How do we make it go through 2 points? Okay, we'll do the center and radius. Yeah. So center, we can have our circle centered at 1, 2, and specify a radius of 3. And we get that circle there. Now, if we want to have a circle going through 2 points,
you need 3 points, so I made a movable one. But was there something else planned for that?
yeah, so you can have it be through 2 points and it will give you a circle here. We, of course, knowing geometry, this doesn't define a unique circle. So let's see what happens when we just have it going through 2 points.
Oh, okay.
So -3, -5. So that does give us a circle there. I shouldn't move it there. Maybe to make this clearer, let's separate off those points. All right, so we can see it going through those 2 points. And so when we're giving it 2 points, those are going to be on kind of opposite sides of a diameter there. So I mean, the circle could go through those 2 points in, different ways. And if we fix those points, then, we type correctly. It should work a little bit better. Then we should be able to see that. Huh. That's surprising. Okay, so I guess if we give 2 points, it just keeps them on the diameter no matter what. That's a little weird.
Yeah, if you have 2 points, it'll always make them be the diameter.
Okay. All right.
Unless you give it a radius, then it'll either not give you a circle since it doesn't exist, or it'll do something.
Mhm. All right, so yeah, so we've got our circle through 2 points, and how it deals with just having 2 points is putting them on the diameter, which gives us a little bit of a cheat for number 3. So since we've got our 2 points there, how can we draw in a diameter?
You can make a line segment with those 2 points as your endpoints.
Yeah. So we'll use P and Q here for our line segment. And now we have a diameter for our circle. And kind of as was mentioned before, this is a lot harder to figure out the math of getting a diameter in there if you're trying to make a circle more generally. But the going through 2 points gives us a little bit of a shortcut there. All right, so let's mark the center of the circle and label it. How can we do that?
I made a new point off of C dot center.
Yeah, so we'll give our circle a name and add in a point for C dot center. So using the reference to C and then getting the center property of the circle, that center will be the point. And so now when we update that, now we've got the center there. How can we label it?
I did label his name, but
So
I don't know if that's the best way.
yeah, that's definitely a totally reasonable way. Um, I don't know. What's a good name for this point?
O is kind of classic for a center.
I like it. And so then we can use label is name, and so it'll just use that name that we're using to refer to the point anyways as the label there, and so we see that label showing up now. Did anyone have a different way of doing the label?
I just have a comment about the previous circle, depending on 2 points.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can specify the radius, so it's actually pretty cool. You can, because then the 2 points will not necessarily be diametrically opposed. I
Mhm.
just think that's really neat. You could do a lot of neat things like with that. Sorry,
Yeah.
change of topic, but just going back to that, it's pretty cool.
Mhm. Yeah, so like kind of similar to, a rectangle, we've got some different options for how we're defining
Yeah.
a circle as well. So if I'm remembering correctly, I think we can also put a label inside of the point here. And then we get the label showing up there as well. So that would be another way. That's useful if you want to be referring to the point by a name in your donut ML that's different from how you want to label it in your diagram.
Is there a way to modify the position of the label? Like if you wanted to put it below or to the left or something instead?
Somewhat, the label positioning is kind of finicky. So I think it's actually in the point, right, that we control the label position. So label position, and then can choose uh, left, say here, and then it's on the left there. I think it doesn't always work great.
It works fine for points. It doesn't work
Oh,
well
okay.
with lines and things like
Oh,
that.
right, that's it.
Although it works better with the pretext render, prefigure render, so maybe we should apply it. But anyway, right now it doesn't work good for lines.
Mm.
And is there, so like you have like left, right, up, down maybe. Is there a way to like move it some by some like vector or coordinate from that point? I'm just thinking of like how I apply labels in text when I'm drawing diagrams.
Now then you have to do it. Then you would have to like put your label outside the point and manually decide where you want it to be. Like do the calculation yourself. Don't want to do anything automatically like that. It doesn't have that level of control.
So you can
Okay.
have text with an anchor and decide where you want to put the text. And so, yeah, kind of manually do that yourself.
You can
I
also make
see.
a label
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Or so then you would have this like
Yeah.
C dot center and then offset by what you want there.
3,5.
3,5.
Yeah, in parentheses though.
A big offset.
Mm-hmm. That'll make
Yeah.
the point clear.
Now it's labeling the circle.
Okay. So that kind of is similar to like how you would use node to put a label somewhere on on something. So it is kind of baked in there then, as
Mhm.
long as you know to do this.
Yeah, I think the trouble is that then this becomes a little bit of an issue potentially for kind of excessive, well, if it's not linked to this point,
Hmm.
then that could be harder to navigate if someone is using like the kind of zoom in tools or things like that.
It's a question.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess like with ticks, like it's a fixed diagram, and
Mhm.
so you don't have like these problems of moving things around in quite
Right.
the same way. So, cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I'd recommend using a label rather than text because then you can put math in it.
Yeah.
But whatever. So both tags work. No, I mean you can do a label tag rather than a text tag even outside of it. But now we're going far afield. Sorry.
We like tangents.
You're O squared.
O squared.
Yeah, much more fun.
All right, I think we're gonna skip the answer validation since leave that as a little teaser for when Dwayne is taking over for the second half. Um, other than that, any questions or thoughts remaining? All right, so one more thing I'm going to talk through before we have a break, and then I turn things over to Dwayne for fancier graphing stuff with some answer validation. Want to talk about functions. So we've seen the function component before and seen how we can use that with references for evaluating things. And so we can also use that with graphs. So there are a couple of ways that we can graph a function. So we can put in our function sine of x here directly and get that graph. If we're, using our function for other things, we might have it outside of the graph and refer to it by a name. And so then we can just have a reference to f within the graph and still have it displayed within the graph here in addition to using it outside of the graph. You can also have it inside of the graph and have the name and then refer to it outside of the graph. That works as well. Let's suppose we want to look at, in addition to f, we want to graph our function t. G of t is t cubed minus 2t plus 4. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think it's going to be an error because the variable isn't x.
So no error, but it doesn't show up because it doesn't know this variable x. So how can we tell it that, hey, we've got a variable here that we're using?
Use the attribute variable equals t.
Yeah, so variable equals t, and now it shows up here. We might probably want to also give it a name G, and then the label is name. Attribute can be useful as well here, and see that label G for that function. I think there's also apply style to label, so that can be nice to use so that now the G has that blue matching the graph and makes it a little bit easier to distinguish there. We can also put in our other graph H here. So name equals H, and that's minus x squared plus 4. And graph that as well. So if we want to distinguish between our graphs, we can use that style number. And so say style number equals 2, style number equals 3. And so we get some different colors there. But if we want to be able to distinguish them using something other than color, Just using the style number is maybe not as clear as we'd like there. So if I remember this off the top of my head, we can use the attribute line style. So for line style, then we have options for dashed, dotted, or solid. And so maybe we change G to dotted and H to dashed. And now we have some more distinction between those graphs there. So I'll put this in the chat. Any kind of questions about that? You can also make use of some of the kind of other things that we've seen with graphs where like we might have a number that we're going to evaluate our function at. And so we've got A is 2, say, and if we want to look at a point A, and then we can evaluate H at A. So this will be a point on the graph of H at A. So then we get that point there. Let's change the style number so that it matches the style for H and gives us that little triangle point there.
A question, if I wanted to have, in this case, F, G, and H defined before going inside of the graph, without any of the changes to the attributes for plotting it, and then in a graph, make those changes, what might that look like? So here I see for F, you have that outside, and we can reference F inside of the graph, and it gives me that. But if I wanted to change what F looked like, maybe give it a different style number inside of this particular graph.
So you could do something like putting F inside of a function here. So have the reference to F here, and then the things that you want to do with style in as attributes here.
Okay.
Or use the extend, like Dwayne said in the chat. Extend F, and then use label. Actually, you'd want to do it this way because then you're getting the name and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? This is also a nice place to view our H dot maxima. For instance, we can get a point for the that local maximum or global maximum there. Another cool thing showing up there. All right.
I have a quick question. Just I was trying to plot the point A comma G of A, and is there any because I don't have an H on mine, is there any reason that wouldn't work? Does the point have to be right next to, does it matter where point is, the one that you plotted, the A comma H of A?
Nope.
Mine's not
Anywhere.
liking it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Okay,
it should
never
be
mind.
fine anywhere. Do you have the double dollar sign for the
Yeah,
G?
double dollars, mud brackets.
Can you
yeah.
copy your code into the chat?
Sure. And I
Yeah,
labeled
that part
G.
looks good.
What I
I
usually
didn't.
do is I take that and I copy and I paste it outside the graph, and then you'll see like what, because if you put a point outside the graph, then it'll see what the coordinates are. So if you grab it and like paste it above the graph just to test and then see
Sure. It's
what
mad with it.
and you'll see
Invalid attribute.
there's something that doesn't like.
I might be reusing A. I think I did A for something else.
Oh,
If you
okay.
can't figure out which A, then yeah, then it's
I know it's another letter. W looks safe. Yeah, okay. But okay, thank you for. Yeah, it doesn't like that either. Maybe it's maybe there's a problem with this. I'm just pasting how I defined my point. Is there a problem with that?
Oh yeah. So it should be name equals W and then
Oh, this.
3 inside the tags.
Gotcha. Okay. Right, thank you.
Mhm. There are other ways that we can define functions other than just giving the expression for evaluating the function. And so this is really handy for like making problems in calculus where you want functions with certain properties but don't want to have to figure out like a complicated polynomial yourself. So you can specify that we want a function and we want it to have a maxima at 4, 6, and it will figure out how to do that. So we can do this with maxima, minima, extrema, and having through and through slopes. So, kind of for example, we can have, let's say we also want this to go through -2, 2, and -8, 0. Now it adjusted the graph to make sure that we've still got that maxima at 4, 6, and also going through -2, 2, and -8, 0. And also add in let's do something, try to make it do something weird and say we're going to have a minima at -6, 6, and it'll do a weird squiggly to make that happen. The question, does it graph least degree? Could you clarify what you mean?
I just meant like the first time it just automatically did a parabola, but I mean, there's more functions I have. Oh, just
Yeah, so I
so
think
like
it's probably doing like polynomial interpolation, so it's probably going to do the smallest degree
the
polynomial that
smallest
makes it
degree
work. Is that right, Dwayne?
No, it's a cubic spline, but
Oh,
not a C2 one because it's whatever. It's a monotonicity preserving cubic spline. So it doesn't do extra little wiggles, so it looks better, but it means it doesn't look as smooth as a C2 function would look like. That's why I to me that was a little weird, but it's at least C1.
mhm.
So if you add more maxima and minima, does it go up to a higher order spline at any point, or does it it's cubic always?
It's always cubic. It just in every section between every little point, it's a cubic, and then it sort of patches the cubics together. And it guarantees that it's at least differentiable at the patch points, but it's normal slides are actually C2 at the points. Then you get a lot of like overshoots and things like that with real splines, which isn't very desirable in this case. And if you did polynomial interpolation, it's even worse. You'll get like if you played with higher order polynomial interpolation, it's uncontrolled. Hence we use splines.
All right. So there are kind of a few more examples here where you can kind of move something around here. Ooh, that makes something exciting. So you can play around with that. But I think, and this task is going to be the homework for today. So can hold off on that. So I think we'll do our break now, and then turn things over for Dwayne when we come back. So should we do a 10-minute break?
10 minutes. Sure.
All right. We're so on schedule today.
4:35 Eastern. I think, I don't know if you or Dwayne want to talk about this, but in that little example I shared at 4:13 about the center through circle through 3 points with the diameter drawn in, I think there's a nice little lesson that I learned from Virginia, if anyone wants to talk about it, about how even you're creating a circle that the user is defining by moving points around. Then you're extracting the center by using a property, naming that center that's extracted something else, and then using that center in computations. So you never actually end up displaying. I don't know if that makes sense. You're creating components that never get used directly, but they create a pathway to create the endpoints of the line segment. I don't know if that's worth mentioning. If it is, you're welcome to do that.
Well, I see, because you're always assuming that the radius, you're always making a vertical or horizontal radius. That makes sense.
Yeah, this was a quick and dirty thing, but I honestly thought that I was imagining the thing you showed us at the last, or the thing that we were discussing at the last junk meeting was implemented. So I was like, oh, just make a line segment with a center at the center of the circle and define the length of the line segment, and you're done.
Right. I was just thinking the same thing. Hey, I got to finish that feature.
Then I realized that it hasn't been implemented yet. And if you can just change the slope, then yeah, you can maybe even move the points around so then the diameter changes slope. But that's I did that quickly, and then I thought of Virginia explaining how not everything you create in Donut has to be used. And once I realized that there were these roundabout ways of accomplishing tasks, things became better.
Mhm. Now make me want to finish that feature.
Maybe there needs to be a diameter, not a component, but I don't know if it show diameter is an attribute that automatically places. I'd imagine someone teaching geometry would make good use of it.
Like $C dot diameter, and it gives you a line segment.
Yes, but one that's not always horizontal. So it just finds two opposing points on a circle. Basically, it does all the computations that I've done and
Right.
hides it, because if someone wants to draw a diameter, that's what they're going to have to do over and over and over again. Seems like a good
Well, the problem is we
for
don't have the ability to add parameters to properties, because you want to have you want to say $C dot diameter, but then you want to specify which one you want. Like upslope equals whatever, but we don't have that kind of feature in Donut.
I don't mean a property, I mean an attribute. Show diameter. So,
Oh.
which would do essentially what I've done, but it would also put two visible
Oh, you mean like
endpoints.
I see, like so that the circle itself has a diameter in it.
Correct. Not one that you extract and then have to do things with, but being
Like
able to
we're
draw a
talking
radius, like show radius and show diameter, seem like good attributes to have for a circle, where it starts out being horizontal. That's the
What if we
canonical.
had a diameter component? You say diameter, and then you say circle equals $C, and then whatever, because then you could add other. So we're not overloading all these tons of. To me, it's not the circle. Like this diameter is something separate. So I'd rather have it not be part of the circle renderer, because now you're making circle do more work. But you can imagine having a diameter component, and then you give it a pointer to the circle, and then you can give it, whatever other attributes you want to expose, slope or something.
Sure. Could it be a child of the circle component? Or does it, do you imagine it lives outside just independently?
That's interesting. We
Because
haven't
what
done.
else has, what else are we talking about if not a circle with a diameter?
All
I haven't
right.
taken
The only
geometry in a long time. Do
question,
other things have
part,
diameters?
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, lots of things have diameters.
Ah,
Sets and points do.
Yeah,
Uh,
polygons do,
I just
or
worry
at least convex ones.
if how to make it. The question is how to make it non-confusing to the user, right? Because you're putting it inside the circle. I worry they might think you're trying to define the diameter of the circle. So I don't know. We'd have to do user testing on this to see. Like, at least if it's not in the circle, it's pretty clear you're not trying to change the definition of the circle. You're trying to like grab something from it. I'll be right back. All right, now you gave me a list of 3 things to try to remember before I start.
I don't remember, but my Zoom AI will send me an email and then I can take a look at it. But
Oh, no, I meant you gave me 3 things I'm supposed to remember to mention right now before I start.
one was call action, that I remember.
Well, let's call action. One was the downtime, and then now you have this other square, the circle. So
The circle. Yeah, if you want to talk about it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about the downtime.
oh, I forgot too, but I opened up my window and I got the yellow banner. I was like, oh yeah. What time are we starting again, Anurag?
1 minute ago.
4:35. Right about
Okay.
now. Hopefully everyone's back.
Do we just go, or do you need to say anything?
I think we'll skip the show and tell for now. We'll do it at the end if there's time.
Okay. So I guess I will take over then. Okay, come on. Go. Can't get everything in the right spot. I guess I'll start by sharing my screen. So a couple of things I wanted to remember to mention before we get started. The first is that there's a yellow banner at the top of beta.donut.org that I want to point your attention to. We're trying to make sure you guys are good students and don't try to do something right before the deadline, because we're going to take the site down right before class tomorrow. But hopefully when we get back up, we will have donut.org being the new site rather than beta.donut.org. Or everything will crash and burn and we'll just reset everything and we'll try again later. But our goal is to have donut.org be this, what's now beta.donut.org. Okay, then the other thing, Anurag, when we talk about was, okay, you said something about call action, and you want to give a little context on this, Anurag, because I wasn't there?
Sure. Yesterday, towards the end of the workshop, we were talking about different select components, and there was discussion of having a button that allows students to resample and generate a new number that might end up getting used in a problem. Virginia mentioned that you had shared with her that it was a bad idea, but didn't remember why it was discouraged, or why that practice of resampling within an activity to generate a new problem was discouraged.
Um,
And if you don't remember, we can talk about it tomorrow.
So I mean, if you're talking about select from sequence, I cannot resample that.
No, it's a select random number.
But I could do sample random numbers. Name equals R, num2 number samples equals 3, or 43, that'd be nice. And then I could do call action, action equals the resample, do you know? Target equals R. Let's see if I got that right. Okay, it's not action. What is it? Action name. Is that gonna work? Yeah, so that's what you're referring to, like how you could resample.
Yes.
You could resample label, resample. Paragraph around it. So, I mean, did you talk about like what the idea of variance and what a variant means? Right, so the idea of a variant, which is what you get when you do a select, is you get, it's not in some sense, it's just here's another instance of my document, and here's another instance of my document. Sample random numbers, on the other hand, is designed if you're trying to do like a probability lesson and you want to sample or do randomness and sample and do some kind of simulations and things like that. So Donut isn't set up well to, if I were to have a number that says answer, label, enter R1, R1. So then if I enter, it's going to round it. Hold on, allow error numbers equals 0.01. If I do that, then when I hit resample, it doesn't like reset your attempts and anything like that. So it's really hard to make this work the way that you want if you're dealing with student answers, because then you got to especially if you're limiting the number of attempts. It's just Donut isn't designed well. It doesn't work very well. Is that the comment maybe that you guys are referring to?
Yes.
you can do it, but you have to bend over backwards, and so it's a little frustrating. Now there's an open request to say, is there a way to allow a like new attempt button on Donut? But that would be a way around it, but that doesn't currently exist. Does that resolve the question that you had yesterday?
I think so.
Okay. I lost Anurag's circle. Here it is. One thing that Anurag, when we were talking about during the break, this was an example that Anurag put in the chat for getting the diameter, like getting this diameter. And the one technique we wanted to mention is, if you guys talked about setup tags? All right, so you know about setup tags, and one useful thing in it for a setup tag is to put intermediate calculations. So you can see here Anurag made a left, right, and center, which are never plotted anywhere. There's no left, right, center on here. But you can stick them in a setup, and then you can reference them, and then you can get your radius. So it's just one technique is to realize you can do intermediate calculations inside a setup, and then they won't be shown. Okay. Now back to, oh, I lost my page. Back to graphical answer checking. So I'm going to give you a copy of this link. I can find Zoom chat. Here it is. And then when I don't know what you guys have been doing, but when you open this chat, you can either load it into Scratchpad or into your activities, right? So I'll just load it into my Scratchpad, and then we can play around with it. So the point of this document is to talk about advanced answer checking, and then what I really want to do is do basic graphical answers. So, well, I just want to review how answers work, so we have a little bit of context. So right here is answer equals 1 plus 1, 2, it doesn't work, right? So the first job is for you to fix this. So can you fix this input, this answer, so that it works? Just a review of how answers work, or your ability to read comments in my code. So let me know by giving me a thumbs up or saying something when you guys got that. There should be a view where you can see most of the participants while you're sharing a screen. I can't do that.
Is it a Linux thing? I can.
Really? What if I click this button?
On the top right corner of your screen, do you see a little jigsaw puzzle thing?
I just have four. I see four of them, and it doesn't let me make it any bigger. Oh, wait, here, I can click that. Okay, there we go. There, now I can actually see people. Okay, are we ready? Okay, so what'd you do to fix it?
You put a 2 in for the award.
Yeah, put a 2 in the award. Okay, very good. All right, but the problem with that is that was too easy. So I want to do the same thing, but I want you to do it in a more complicated way, just because why do things easily? So what I want you to do is repeat the same thing over here for this answer blank, but now you're not allowed to put in, well, there's a couple things. The math input, let me back up a little bit. In this answer, everything happened automatically. You said that you wanted to have the correct answer be 2. Donut automatically put in this answer blank, which is called a math input. It's not even there, and it automatically worked. Now you want to do things the harder way. You here on line 29, I explicitly put in an answer, the math input, and it's outside the answer. And now I want you to do an answer box that's separate from the math input, but that it references it. And the way you do that is you have to put in a when tag in here. So you do award, and then you do a when. And then what you need to do inside this is put in a Boolean condition that if it's true, the answer is correct. And if it's false, the answer is not correct. So what Boolean condition would you put inside here so that if I were to put a 2, it would be correct?
N equals 2.
N equals 2.
$N.
$ n equals 2. Yeah, because this says the variable n or whatever. I mean, if I did 2 equals 2, then it'd always be correct, which would be boring. N is never 2 because it's just a letter. But if I do a reference to n, does that work? Yeah, you can't, you can, some people might think you have to do this. If you're a programmer, that won't work. We're pretending we're not programmers and we do n equals 2. And now I got 2, 3 doesn't work. Does that make sense? Now, the reason we do this award when is now things are completely flexible, right? Because we can do lots of Boolean logic. In the end, we're going to try to do things having to do with points and things on a graph. But this allows us, once we're into this, if you will call it, if you will, this advanced answer mode for Donut, now we can do different things. For example, I could say, see if you can figure this one out. I want you to do something so that if I put in 2 numbers, if their sum is 2, it's correct. So that would be correct. This would be wrong. That would be correct. So can you figure out how to make this more complicated? You're saying, give me any pair of numbers that their sum is 2. You guys get that? Of course, it's in the chat. So you can do n1 plus n2 equals 2. Oh, I forgot the award win. I'm like, what's going on? All right, so that is not what I want. I want to do, that was giving me the correct answer. The correct answer is that expression. Now, one plus x, 1 minus x, and that works. Any questions about how advanced answer checking works in Donut? Or questions about what you've seen? What about the markup that I wrote in here that
Did we do the same thing on the first day without using when?
on line 51?
yeah, did we do the award without the when? I think we were just using Math Simplify or something like that.
If I did an award without a win, then what it does is it says the correct answer is N1 plus N2 equals 2. So if I put in Q and R, then the only way I could get it correct is to say Q plus R equals 2, and then it's correct.
Okay, so it's a necessity to do that.
Yeah, because this
Okay,
is not
thank
Boolean
you.
condition. This is saying, give me the math expression that looks like this. So now the student provided the correct answer, and then they have to rewrite it. But an answer can reference what a student did, as in this case. Yeah, I don't know why it's not 1, because that's what I did. I've wondered that myself, because you can never, why I didn't just merge it. But that's what it is.
But if you merged it, would you still be able to just say award win and then put a 2 inside it?
If I did award win 2,
That would always be true. So
right?
logically,
Because
that doesn't make sense.
right, because this is whatever. I mean, it's just standard programming that a non-zero number is considered true. So now, no matter what I do, that's always true. And if I put in a 0, then no matter what I do, it's false or incorrect.
I think we might be talking about two different things. I was addressing Spencer's question about there just being a combo.
I mean, I could have done award win together as like this, right?
Yes, so if you have that and then you just place 2 inside it, it would always be marked correct. So there's a place for. I'm trying to say that there's a reason for why award exists by itself. If you just say, I want you to award this answer correct.
Oh, correct. But we could have had the award tag be one tag and another tag called award win. Right.
Oh, sure.
Right. But yes, we couldn't just have it get smushed into one. So I'm going to put this back in. Equals 2. So do you guys like it that these answer blanks are red when it's wrong and then green when it's correct? But how does Donut know that these should be red and green when this is correct?
Probably it's looking at the what names are being referenced in the award.
It isn't, because it's not sure that it's what the student entered. It doesn't know what one you consider the response and what one's maybe the correct answer, because maybe one of them is referencing the correct answer. And then also you might have the same thing referencing 2 answers, and it would know who's going to win the fight, of who's controlling it. So do you see anything else in the markup that might be telling Donut why it's being colored, how to color it?
So this like for answer thing is that
Right. This is references the answer elements that the input should submit to. Okay, well, maybe I should reword that a little bit. But yes, it does a number of things. But it also makes sure that when you have an assignment, you might want to see what the students responded to them. So now it knows that if I look at the responses, it knows that the response to this answer was 1-1, because it has to know like what data is associated with each answer. So this completes that, and it also then makes a color. Now in this case, we didn't need to do that because it could figure out that this automatically generated math input was part of it. In this one, notice it doesn't color it. Can you fix it so that this one is colored, gets colored correctly?
So do we need to like give a name to the answer tag there?
Yeah, you're going to need to
So
give
like,
it a name. Yep.
and then in the math input, we're gonna put the for answer like
That's right.
equal to whatever name we give it. So
That's right. So you do give this
yeah,
guy a name.
yeah, like correct or something.
Yeah. You think that'll work?
Ooh, I'm always afraid of colliding names personally.
Mhm. I don't know if that's a good idea, but it figured out that this, since both of these were in the same LI component,
Next box down.
yeah, well, it basically looks at its like ancestors, and if it finds it here, then
Hmm.
it never gets this one. It never grabs this
Yep.
in.
You were doing it in LI1 though, rather than LI2. So try it one box down.
I was doing where? Sorry.
On the viewer side.
Oh, I was doing it. I was
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
wrong spot. Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Well, that one works too. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Bad. It was a bad test.
Hmm.
But then if I get rid of the for answer, it doesn't work. And it's locked.
Hmm.
Now, another way I could have done it is I could have taken this and I could stick it inside the answer, and then it also can figure it out. So a third option, but it doesn't work for this one because this one I want to have a lot more than just inputs in it. All right, so that's the end of the sort of like answer checking overview. Any questions or confusion so far?
And just what if it was a decimal answer and you want it to be, I mean, you just do the usual thing if you want it to be accurate to within 0.001.
Yeah, so by default, I mean, we have to think about maybe changing how this works because people get confused, but by default, it requires it to be within like 14 decimal places. And so if you want to allow it to be less, then you have to say, I'll allow error in numbers equals. So if I go to the context sensitive help, I guess the default is 0, but actually practically it is a small number. And then you could say, I want it to be 3 decimal places, then you would do that.
Okay, thanks.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that that's good for now. Let's move on to the next one, unless there are any other questions. All right, so job number 1, we're going to try to, our goal is to create a point in here. And so that the correct answer is true if the point is in the second quadrant. So it should be incorrect, but then if I move the point over here, it could say correct. So you want to start by creating a point in here. Go ahead and create a point in there and then think about line 70. How am I going to display this? We're going to work up to this. So can you make a point, and then I want the coordinates of the point to show up here and just the x coordinate to show up right there. And they should change as I move the point. So give me a thumbs up when you manage to make a point and you manage to show the coordinates and its x coordinate. Okay, someone want to tell me what to do?
$P.
Here?
Yeah.
$P.
Oh, and then in the graph I did a point name P.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there's no reference found for P. Okay, so I'm gonna do a point. Name equals P. Okay, so when I do that, I got my point. And I have the point right here, the coordinates. And does it work if you move the point? Does this change? It should. I hope it does. Yeah, there we go. So the coordinates change. Okay. How about how would you get the x coordinate from this point?
$P dot X.
So did you guys talk about properties already? I assume you did, right?
A little bit.
Dots, sign P, and indeed there's an x, which is the first coordinate of the point. And when you do that, now I have the x coordinate and the point itself. Okay, so now I'll give you do you want a few more minutes to figure out the answer blank? I'll let you, given that information now, can you figure out how to make it be correct when I move the point to the second quadrant?
I tried doing P dot X less than 0 and P dot Y greater than 0,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's something wrong in my syntax because I don't know, it's not working. And I have two check work buttons.
Is it getting angry with you, the red box, or not?
Yeah, it gives me an incorrect when I no, I don't have an error code.
Oh, you don't have an error.
It just says it's incorrect when I hit the check word, even though it is in the second quadrant. So clearly P dot
what did you put inside the answer?
I'm having the same
award
problem.
when.
So
award when, and I did P dot X less than 0 and P dot Y greater than 0.
Like this?
And
this, I put mine in the chat and I have the same problem. It gives me an error. Or it doesn't give me an error, it shows incorrect.
Oh, you're using an and component.
Oh, the comma. Actually, it didn't work without the comma. I just changed it because I was trying to get it to work.
Does it work with a comma? It shouldn't.
Yeah.
The one I put above yours worked for me, where I just used the word and in between.
Right. So you could use the word, if you wanted to do an actual and component, then you have to be you do a little more work. You have to say this is a Boolean P dot X less than 0 Boolean. So then you have to spell it all out. That would work. So you can either do this, or you can use the and syntax. I mean, just the word and. So this is easier. This gives you more control because you're actually creating Boolean components and you can do more weird things with it. But try it. So you can try using ampersand. Yep.
Is the and only taking in two components, or how many terms does the and
this and would work?
tag?
I'm talking about this and here, right? So
Yeah.
you do and p dot whatever or whatever, anything else. It allows you to do it multiple, just as all child Boolean values are true.
Mm. Oh, okay, cool.
So it's not a binary operator, it's a whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this. I'll do it this way. Huh. I'm getting this document contains errors.
Spaces with the less than and greater than.
Yeah, so using a less than sign is dangerous because if I do a less than answer, right? Less than, it thinks it's a component called answer. But here, so it's looking for a component called 0, and it's like, all right, that doesn't work. Names must start with a letter. What's going on? So if in XML, which is what this is, you're not allowed to use less than signs, but Donut cheats. And Donut says, well, as long as you put a space there, I can figure out what you're talking about. And then it works. Which makes XML people very angry at us because you're not allowed to do that. But we're like, why not? It's really annoying otherwise. I like to put spaces everywhere, then I don't actually run into trouble. But now, does it work when you do this? Incorrect. It's incorrect. And now it's correct. Did you guys get that to work? No? Okay, well, how can we help?
I have the exact same code and it's not working. It must be something in my setup.
So you have answer, award, when. Do you have the point named? Did you match this point name? Because if my point wasn't P and it was Q, then you'll notice there's little squigglies under here saying no reference. You get these little squigglies where it can't find, or you also can see under the warning, no reference found for these references. Does that explain the error?
No, so here's my setup. And then here's my code. Let's see.
Okay, so you don't want to put the point in a setup. You want to put the point in the graph so that you can, or do you have it inside?
Oh, I do have it inside the graph as well.
And how do you have it inside the graph? What does it look like there? Oh, you have an extra quote.
Let's see. Inside the graph.
Just a $ P in there.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I think Spencer got it. You got an extra quotation mark to the right of your 0.
Oh my gosh. Well, because I put quotations around them because it wasn't working
Right,
before,
right.
and then I took them away. But yeah, I think that was a different issue. And I found out if you put the 0 next to the less than, greater than sign, then it thinks it's a command and
Right.
throws errors at you.
You get really mad at you. That's right. All right, so I'm gonna make mine work again. Okay, are you guys ready to get to work? So if you scroll to the bottom, now you have your work to do. So you don't have to do the only required part for an A, or well, B, at least, a passing grade. You have to do number 1, but then there's like bonuses, extra credit. You can also spell out the word not, N-O-T, or use an exclamation point, or there's an angle bracket not. So you got 3 different ways of doing that. It's because we figure if you try one thing, hopefully the thing you guess will work. Doesn't work. Right, now make them both greater than 0. I don't know, less than or equal and greater than or equal are working for me. Then it would be wrong. Well, if you're moving it to 0, it might look like 0, but it might be 0.000. Only reason it
Well,
worked for me when I started is because I didn't touch this point at all. And so it's exactly 0. But I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to move it, and I wouldn't be able to get it back on there to get it to be 0.
it said the y value was, I did y greater than, try to do y greater than or equal to 0. And it said my y value was actually equal to 0, but maybe not to enough
You might
precision.
have rounded, yeah, because if it's less than 10 to the negative 14, we by default have it like this display 0. So
Yeah, well, I'm not confident I got that close. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Should
It,
work,
it said 0.
but I can't.
Didn't allow it.
Yeah,
But
so
then
like,
it worked when I did or equals 0.
yeah, my guess is the y isn't 0 here.
Sure. Okay.
It's hard to know. I mean, how do I tell? But there's always rounding in there. Well, I could tell, but you don't want to see me go into the guts and look.
No, that's fine. So I can use greater than equal. That's good to know.
Yeah. Now, if you want things to actually be 0, you can do things like, snapping
Chop.
things to a grid or, constrain.
Yeah, is there a snap to grid would be a really helpful thing to know about.
Yeah, you could do, in this point right here, I can do a track to grid, which is like the snap to,
Oh, okay.
and then by default it does it so if I get close to 1, 1, it snaps to 1, 1. Or I could constrain it to the grid. Oop, it's a grid. Then it will never go off the grid. It'll just jump to the grid points.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you
Nice.
can tract it to and constrain it to different things because it can change the width of the grid. You can tract it to a function or a circle or whatever. But
Okay.
the constraints are definitely if you ever want to check that a student has something exactly in a certain spot, you pretty much have to attract it or constrain it to that, or it will never get it exactly right. Or you have to do goofy things. You have to say if it's close enough, if the distance is less than whatever, you can. It
Right.
depends on whether you want to give the student. So if I do this, so like sometimes if I want to say attract to the point 3, 5, let's say 3, 4. Let's say the goal was to get it to 3, 4. Well, if I get it close enough, it jumps, right? And that gives the student an indication that that's the correct answer. So you may or may not want that, depending on whether you want to give your student that hint. Sometimes a lot of times I like to do that because it's like a formative assessment, and I like to give away the correct answer. So that can be a disadvantage of attracting to the correct answer. Right. You can do something like Anurag suggested, just say, if you don't want to give the student the feedback, then you put a little target window and say if it's in there, it's correct.
Mm.
Mm.
How far people have gotten? Have you gotten the function to go through the 5 points for starters? All right, so just do function and then through and then list the points, references to the points. And then give that function a name so that you can then look up attributes on the name, on the function. I think I can add that without giving anything away now. one other possible redirection. So for number one, how many of you are trying to do calculations with the y coordinates of points and doing some kind of formula involving the points? You probably don't want to do that. You want to look up properties of a function and see if there's any available properties on the function. It'll be a lot easier than trying to do some kind of calculation. Especially since you don't know the order of the points, people can drag them in front of each other.
So I was using the maxima attribute for the function, but I'm not sure how to count the, like, is that a set? And can you count the number of items in that set?
I think there might be is there a count thing?
There is, it's like num maxima or something like that.
Right.
There's
So
also
the better thing you want is the num maximum, but there is a count component
yeah.
that you could use around the maximum, but there's even better, there's another attribute that gives it to you directly.
So does the maxima return a list of the points if there's more than one then?
Right.
Okay.
So is there a way to tell if a point is an element of that list of maxima?
So like in Python, it would be something like in the point
Yeah, I
would
think
be
I didn't do n because I was worried that I times n would become n. So I think,
yeah.
uh, yeah, but I need to constrain these things to a point. Yeah, maybe try that, but the problem is that won't work for rounding, you have to get the person to exactly do that, or you can constrain your points. So Jane, it's supposed to be equals and then quotation marks, like through equals and then quote.
Okay.
Because it's like an attribute, the way in XML, attributes always have to have quotes, even if they're numbers, so, which is annoying, but
Um, okay. Through equals.
Jane, there's no print command, but if you just copy something outside the graph, it might show what you're doing if it knows how to display it. Yeah, outside, yeah. Somewhere where if you type a character, it will appear. Depends on what you're referencing. But like for example, if I did here, P,
Yeah, it works.
okay, the number of Acma or whatever. Okay.
Um, but I think I need an array. And I think that might not be the easiest way, but I can't think of another way to do it.
Yeah, which are you working on number one?
Yes.
Yeah, the key thing here is this num maxima attribute or property.
Oh, there's a num maxima. Oh,
Number
well,
of local maxima of the function.
well, that makes it a little easier.
Right, otherwise you can put count around it to say how many, but
Oh,
in
you
fact,
can do count. Okay.
there's a count attribute, a component with angle brackets, count.
Oh, cool.
But you can just do num maxima. And then it has num maxima 1.
Is there any place in the docs that you can look at like all the stuff you can do to arrays, for instance?
Yeah, so I tried to answer that in the chat, but I put
Oh,
it in the
sorry.
wrong thread. So if you look down, I answered someone else's question with a reference to that.
Ah, I see.
But the basic idea is we're making guides like that, but we've only made a couple. So we're open for suggestions of what kinds of things should we put in these, we'll call them guides, especially if you volunteer yourself to make them.
Okay, yay, this works.
Great. I'll just check in to see where people are. How's it coming? I'm having too much fun with the chat. Forgot you guys are supposed to be working on something. So how many? So hold up, how many fingers you actually got finished at this point? 0, 2, 3. Okay, so we're all over the map. 1. Okay. Anurag, is there more we want to? We got 10 minutes left. Is there more we want to
I
wrap?
was about to say, I wonder if it's more productive to just leave things as they are, meaning not offer any hints, or you sort of lead through the discussion of how to actually do these things. I don't know what would be better. I hate giving out answers,
Right.
but I also don't want the session to be thought of as unproductive because we didn't get all the answers to all the questions. Any thoughts from the audience?
Yeah,
What would you like to happen?
I think in this kind of case, answers, don't like giving the answers, but it's not like not knowing the maxima attribute is is a cognitive load, right? It's teasing through documentation or somebody tells you.
So I think I'll say for part 2, one important thing is you can do dot maxima, but you can also do f dot maximum values is important. So the maxima is that. Okay, I don't know what happened here.
While Dwayne's typing this, when I was trying to articulate by saying I don't like giving away answers, I think that there's greater value in walking through the documentation, looking for things, and also sort of looking over attributes that you might not need now, but at least they go into your semi-working memory of, hey, this is a thing that's possible. Whereas if we give you the attribute that gets over this hurdle, then you don't get the benefit of looking over the other things, just as window shopping would help you do. That's what I was trying to get across.
That's fair.
I guess what Honor would rather have me do is say, how do I get to a function? I go to a function. Where's my function? I go to the reference page, and then I look at that. So we're not talking about attributes here. We're talking about properties. I may have misspoke, but I meant to say properties. And we got to figure out this grouping here is not very good. They're all in other apparently at this moment. And then you can look at the maximum locations, maximum values. These are the 3. And I think maximum values is the one that's going to be helpful for this one here. And so you can just say maximum values equals or greater than, right? Greater than 6. And the interesting thing you can do is, so I'm doing a Boolean here just because a win won't show up, but you can think of it as a win. If I did f dot maximum values greater than, what is it supposed to be? 6? If I have just a single one, so I think this is what it is right here, right? Or where did I put it? I put it right here because this is the relevant one. Maximum values greater than 6. Oh, I have to go above 6. Right, there we go. Now it's true. But then if I had 2 of them, then it just becomes false because it tries to say this ordered pair is greater than 6. So you can use that to your advantage. Just say, okay, I don't know if maximum values is 1 or 2, but if it's 1, this might make sense. If it's 2, it won't make sense and it'll be false. And so it's one tricky way of getting to make sure there's only one maximum is to do a comparison like that. But this is the kind of thing you could do is f maximum value is greater than 6 if you wanted to make sure there's a single maximum value. Now it's true. There's a single maximum value greater than 6.
What if there were what if there was maximum like 8 and 7, what does it do if it's comparing 8 comma 7 greater than 6?
Yeah, so then it's just going to get false. It doesn't, I don't, Donut doesn't know how to use this greater than sign with,
But in ordered pair, okay.
so it's just
All
going to
right.
always be false. And so that
All
will
right.
never, it'll never be correct in that
All
case.
right, quick and dirty.
So it's
Is there a clean way to like pull those values and check them one by one?
yeah, you can do maximum values 1 for the first one.
Yeah, I just put that in chat.
Oh, okay.
I thought that gave me an error. I
Okay.
never tried that. All right.
So I can do maximum values 2 if I will. And then there's nothing. There's still nothing, but then if I do a second one, now it gives me the second one. So you can do that kind of array notation, if you will.
Okay, and that's probably you can't get more than 2 in this situation, but couldn't you do a repeat and like you can get the number of maximum values
Right.
and
I
then
mean,
do a repeat? I couldn't get the repeat to work, but that was just a matter
if
of
you
time.
wanted to check each of them, I don't know how to use a repeat. Yeah, repeats are tricky.
Why would they be tricky?
Uh, let's see, because you'd have to do a repeat, but inside the repeat, you'd have to do a Boolean, and then you'd have to put an and around it or something, right? Because it's like, if you think about what the repeat gives you, it's like, is if I put Boolean, Boolean, Boolean all next to each other, and then you have to put something around them to, like you can't put the word and, you have to actually use the and op component around it.
Okay.
That's stuff, it's like something that can handle multiple arguments. Because the repeat is just, in the end, is just spitting out those components over and over like that. So it
Yeah.
can get a little, like if you're trying to use the word and, like that, just the space and space, you couldn't do that with a repeat.
But you could have a Boolean that became true.
Right. And then you could do an and or over that, like a angle bracket, the operator component.
Oh, you can't update variables because it's not a programming language. Right.
Well, there is an update value action you can do, or a component you can do, but we're not talking about that here. But you can, just like when a student types in a number, they update a value. So they can update something, and you can do it manually with something called update value. Do you want more on this number 2? Should I complete it? So I would say award. If I want to click quick and dirty, I could just say award app dot maximum values is greater than 6 and f dot minimum values that, what is it? Less than negative 4. That minus,
-4.
I guess I didn't put an M around it. Doesn't look like a negative, but okay. Here, we're gonna make it better. Less than M -4, so I can read it. Okay. So that should work, I think. We've got to have a maximum larger than 6, a minimum less than -4. No, that's correct. And you can see all this like random things that are spit out in the middle of my doc. That's when you make donut documents, you'll have these random things spit out because you use it for troubleshooting, hopefully in a more organized manner. But then you have to remember to delete them all before you or comment them out before you give this to your students. So that's how I did. That's one way of doing this one. And then this one we used element of. So for the last one, you need to like constrain or track your points to a number or to a grid or something. And then you can use, we have that up here somewhere, element of, right here, this element of f dot maxima is your friend. I think it was also in the chat somewhere. But if I put that inside my award win, I think I would complete that. because I already constrained them to a grid, I added this on here because I was playing around with it. All right. I think we'll leave it like that.
Could I have 30 seconds to make a plug?
Mhm.
Uh, Tomorrow being the last day of the workshop, the homework tonight is fairly light, I think. And we made it such that you have some time to start thinking about what you'd like to do with Donut moving forward. So obviously there's an entire another day tomorrow, but I wanted to remind us of the show and tell on Tuesday. And I wanted to put it up front that for whatever reason, some folks seem to think that there needs to be a minimum threshold that needs to be met for how impressive a show and tell activity is. And that's not at all the purpose. People have cool ideas. People come up with cool activities. Not everyone started off at the same comfort level with XML and HTML and pretext. So some folks might have things that look more impressive to you than others, but that doesn't invalidate your progress. So we hope that you'll consider joining us for the show and tell. And if you have questions or if you want to noodle around ideas, community discussions are a great place, or you can send out an email to one of us if we're not the right person. So if you ask me something about dynamical systems, I will say I don't know what that means. Dwayne teaches that course, so why don't you ask Dwayne that question. So do consider joining us for show and tell next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe start thinking about what you'd like to work on between now and Tuesday. And if no other questions, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I am running maybe 10 minutes behind. I'm going to make a post on day 3 tasks shortly. I'll send out an email as well. I forgot to do that earlier, but you'll have it in your email shortly. Thanks for coming back. We'll see you tomorrow.